Greetings, family. Peace, love, and positive thinking. This is Guru. Thank you for joining my channel. Today's vlog is about the uproar that continues over racially charged exhibit at a contemporary art museum in St. Louis. Let's get to this article. Of course, some of the art pieces in question is this right here. It's called the Black Star Press. Star Press. 2007 by artist Kelley Walker. It's a digital print with silk screen, white, milk, and dark chocolate on canvas mounted on wood panel. It's a 36 by 84 inches art piece. Critics of a solo exhibition by Kelley Walker at the Contemporary Art Museum, CAM, St. Louis are calling for racially charged artworks to be removed and for the museum's chief curator to step down. Direct Drive by Walker, a white Georgia native who now lives in New York, opened September 16th and is scheduled to be on view in all Contemporary Art Museum galleries through December 31st. Part of the exhibition shows images from the 1960 Civil Rights Movement, as well as contemporary magazine covers featuring black women that appear to be streaked with whitening toothpaste and chocolate. The artwork evoked questions and criticism at a discussion with the artist Kelley Walker, pictured here below, and museum curator September 17th, and at a panel event Thursday. At the first event, Walker was hostile towards questioners and provided little explanation of his work, attendees said. St. Louis artist Damon Davis, who was at the talk, expressed outrage the next day in a Facebook post that has been shared more than 530 times. Quote, "I don't care that his work is controversial because much of my work is, but I can explain and stand by everything I make." He couldn't, and when asked, he reacted like a child and a coward, Davis wrote, calling for a boycott of the museum and exhibition. Quote, "Schools take black children to this gallery. When they see these images, they are being told that their bodies, their history, and their stories are disposable and always up for use by any privileged white man and institutions that feels like using them to get some press." So the question is, for all of you out there, how would you explain this type of art to a child coming to the gallery? What would you say to them? What words would you use to describe this? And what would you tell them that it means? That way, you can give these people at this museum some ideas because they're going to need it. But I digress. Let's get back to the article. Davis and others say Walker's work seems malicious because of its lack of explanation. Though some pieces in the show are more than 10 years old, Davis says the inclusion of them is particularly inappropriate considering, quote, "the current climate of race in St. Louis, knowing that this is the epicenter of this new incarnation of the civil rights movement," unquote. CAM, Contemporary Art Museum Chief Curator Jeffrey Uslip, pictured to the right here, has been criticized. Chief Curator Jeffrey Uslip, who spearheaded the show, has also been criticized because of his terse responses to audience inquiries. In an interview with the St. Louis American Executive Director Lisa Melandri, agreed that the exchange September 17th at CAM was inadequate. A September 18th letter signed by 3 black members of CAM staff, Deandra Nichols, Lyndon Burroughs Jr., and Victoria Donaldson, asked for the removal of 4 pieces, quote, that have inflicted blatant and expressed pain upon members of the St. Louis community, unquote. The letter also seeks a public apology from the museum, a formal apology, and resignation from Jeffrey Uslip, this guy pictured right here. Resignation from Uslip and changes to the way exhibits are reviewed, and curated. Nichols is community engagement manager for the museum. Baroas is museum educator, and Donaldson is visitor services manager. Both both Uslip and Melandri declined to speak to a reporter Friday. Well, of course they declined. In a statement released Thursday by Jeffrey Walker, the artist expressed regret for the, quote, anger, frustration, and resentment, unquote, caused by failure to engage the audience members during the CAM event. No, Jeffrey, I think you're missing the point. It's the subject matter and it's the way you are presenting the subject matter. We'll get to what your aim was in a minute. Quote, the concerns were legitimate, so I regret that I did not answer them adequately at the time, unquote, the statement said in part. Quote, I have always hoped that these works and the exhibition as a whole would provide a forum for a conversation about the way American society gets represented in the media as images shift from context to context, and about how the representation of the body, particularly of the black body, is an exceedingly complex topic in American art and culture. Well, Jeffrey Walker, I would challenge to say, why do you feel that you have to be the one to show the representation of the black body in art in the first place, especially when it's not beautiful? It's highly offensive. It's not even really art. That's why Uslip, I'm sorry, I've been saying I gotta go back on this. Let's go back for a second. So the artist's name is Kelley Walker. Please excuse me, I made a mistake. I've been saying Jeffrey Walker. It's actually Kelley Walker who is the one who came up with the art piece. This dirt bag here to the right here, picture here, his name is Jeffrey Uslip. He's the Contemporary Art Museum chief curator who spearheaded the show, and he's the one who's also being criticized and also should be fired. He should resign, especially if he thinks this is art representing the black body, as complex as it is, and you're covering it up with white toothpaste and some chocolate. You need to be bitch crapped. You know what I'm saying. You need to be all of that. Get out. I digress. Let's get back to this and finish this vlog here. So he says in part, I quote, I have always hoped that these works and the exhibition as a whole would provide a forum for a conversation about the way American society gets represented in the media as images shift from context to context, and about how the representation of the body, particularly of the black body, is an exceedingly complex topic in American art and culture, unquote. Yes, it is. Not to be represented the way you did. On the day before the first CAM event, a general phone interview with a Post-Dispatch reporter ended abruptly when Kelley Walker hung up. On Thursday, a 2-hour panel discussion coordinated by Critical Mass for the Visual Arts drew a standing room crowd of more than 350 at CAM. This is the panel discussion coordinated by the Critical Mass for the Visual Arts, which drew a standing room crowd of more than 350 people. I'm just going to play a short clip of it so you can see the crowd, and then we'll get back to this story, because they're going to pan the view.
speaks to my view of him and his accomplishments or non-accomplishments. How would it move me? Would it move me in a way that some people may have been moved by seeing an image or subjective? It gives space for people who are bigots to celebrate and revel in images that seem to demean the value of the struggle faced by some in the United States. And I think in a space like that, it's really important to have individuals who are able to at least defend their art. And if they're not able to defend it, if you can't articulate why you created it, then it creates a vacuum where all these questions will be asked, accusations will be thrown or bandied about, and you really won't be able to move forward. So I would hope that in a critical space, whenever we see art, it encourages conversation. And not just any conversation, but also places things into a historical framework. Because again, when I think about the Black Star Press, I think about the struggle of someone like Marcus Garvey of the Black Star Line.
Speaking of the name of the art piece that Kelley Walker named that disgusting artwork, he named it Black Star.
And then I think about the images of these individuals who are on the front lines of those struggles within the context of protest and riot now. You gotta have an answer because the critics will have questions.
And they pan now. You can see how many people is in the audience here. It's quite a few. A lot of white folks there too. Not a whole lot of black folks, besides those on the panel. But let's get back to the article. The arts group initially planned to host a conversation on art and the black body. Instead, the group presented a discussion with educators and artists responding to the backlash generated by Walker's work and his behavior at the artist talk. He was not invited to take part. This is more than problematic. It's more than an issue. It's disheartening, explained panelist Catherine Simone Reynolds, a photographer who was also at an earlier event. She took particularly offense at a large-scale image of a black woman on a magazine cover that had been painted with toothpaste. It's placed on the wall and extends onto the floor, giving the impression that people should, quote, walk on her body. You cannot allow people to walk on her body, unquote. Many wanted Walker to offer a better explanation of his work and methodology. Although some in the audience supported the exhibit, the panel voiced a collective preference for some artwork to be removed. One panelist writer, M.K. Stallings, noted that cross-burning sparked conversations, too. As for what's next, museum leaders haven't made any decisions. In an emailed statement, Melandri wrote that officials were, quote, listening carefully to the many voices and viewpoints of our community with respect to our current exhibition, Kelley Walker, Direct Drive. We continue to process what we are hearing and have tasked ourselves and our institution to develop a thoughtful and comprehensive path forward. So family, that's the extent of this article. I'm going to show you the art piece again, and then I'm going to show you some of my own art pieces that perhaps should be in its place. So I'll ask again, how do you explain this artwork to children and kids who will be coming through this gallery? This art piece called Black Star Press, Star Press, that artist Kelley Walker in 2007 decided to call art. Yes, we do think of Marcus Garvey when we think about the Black Star. We think about the Black Star Line and the Black Press. We think about the first black press of this country. Black owned, black thought, black consciousness. Family, thank you very much for viewing this. Please like, share, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Again, I'm going to show you my artwork that I feel should be in its place. I won't be saying anything but peace and love. Thanks again for watching. This is Guru. Peace, love, and positive thinking. I'm out.